among Republican politicians. Just say the next few business days they have.
Right. We've seen the real Donald Trump, and it's a failure in leadership that stands in stark contrast to somebody like Senator John McCain, who rose to the moment of leadership when the nation looked to him at exactly a moment like you just played. You know, Brian, we're 4 days into this. It's been an exhausting 24-hour news cycle. I think a lot of people in the last 24 hours, like myself, have gone from shock to anger to heartbreak. I am optimistic tonight coming out of what we saw at the Minnesota airport. And what I mean by that is I'm optimistic because the leaders who fail us politically, the Donald Trumps, the Lindsey Grahams, the Kevin McCarthys, their moments are fleeting. Their legacies dim early. But what we are seeing tonight, I believe, are the early moments of Ilian Omar securing a very special place in American history. Consider one of just a handful of refugees who have risen to elective office in the United States Congress, now at an inflection point in this 230-year conversation over the freedom of dissent. Our nation was founded on dissent, a bunch of people who said to the king, we can do better. They wrote into the Constitution an awareness that they needed to protect the freedom of dissent. Madison wrote virtually every one of the freedoms in the First Amendment. It has to do with dissent, from organized religion to speech to assembly to petition your government. And those constitutional freedoms, that's the very same Constitution Ilian Omar in 2000 raised her right hand and pledged true faith and allegiance to. And that 17-year-old girl in 2000 last night had to listen to an angry mob chant that she needed to leave the country. What history has taught us is that no angry mob, no ego-driven political leader can undo the protections that were written by James Madison. The reason I am optimistic tonight, the reason I think we can celebrate, is this is a moment where we are watching the founder's vision play out. It is exactly Ilian Omar's dissent, if you will, her freedom of dissent that our founders envisioned. It is exactly the dangerous behavior of Donald Trump and the mob last night that they also envisioned, and that is why they wrote into a constitution the freedom of Ilian Omar that ultimately will prevail in this very dark chapter.
Well, that's no fair, because I have to pivot from that and say, Kim,